my marker. I have a new pack waiting for me at home from Amazon. I have fresh ones tomorrow. So elimination, here's a more basic one. Everything's going to be kind of lined up for us. That's the setup that we want with elimination. So we want, you can see your x's, your y's, your equal sign, your constants, everything's nicely lined up. We want to eliminate a variable. To do so, pick your x's or y's, but you want the coefficients to be the same and the signs to be opposite, so when you add them, they cancel. So you can kind of pick, for this one, you're gonna have to multiply both equations. I think I made these into 75s, so you just find a common factor. So if I want to make this y into a 75, I multiply by 3. If I want to make this into a 75, I multiply by 5. If worse comes to worse, you can just kind of multiply them by the opposite. And then just make one negative. It doesn't really matter which one, I just pick a random one. But what we notice is going to happen is we'll multiply ends. I'm a bit lazy with my computation here today. I'll just do something. I get negative 105x, okay, plus 75y equals 36. I'm assuming that's, I just write that. That's 105x minus 75y equals negative 30. And I start to add, and I say, okay, I need to eliminate. And what happens is this eliminates and this eliminates. If that happens and there's nothing left on the left side, just write a 0. That represents nothing. On the right side, we're just left with 6. So going back to relating this to our graphs, these two lines would have been parallel if we had drawn them out on a graph, which means they never meet, which means my answer, when you get something like this where your variables cancel and 0 doesn't equal 6, your answer is going to be no solution. So those special cases do pop up algebraically as well. If you had got something like 6 equals 6, that does make sense. You would write infinitely many solutions. They'd be the same line. But just in terms of setup, everything's lined up nicely. You're just trying to eliminate a variable. In that case, they both eliminated. So just be on the lookout for that stuff. Any problems with that one? All right, one more, then we're taking a break. Because I'm about mathed out for the day. Where was the one I was going to do? Excuse me. All right, where was my? So I am going to use elimination. As you're looking at it, you might say, well, substitution makes more sense, but today we're just trying to kind of like figure out setup stuff. So I just want to show you what to do. Because when you are eventually taking an assessment or doing an assignment, sometimes it will tell you a specific way to do things. So this one I'll say elimination. So what we really want is kind of the setup where you have the x and the y on the same side equals to your constant, we call it standard form. So we kind of want the same thing. So if I have the x here, I'm going to move this y over to the same side. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite that. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not too excited about having to plug stuff in or having to even cancel stuff with fractions. It's going to be kind of annoying. You always have the option when you see fractions to kind of cancel them out. So to do so, if you want to take the entire equation and multiply it by a common denominator, in this case 3, that will take care of those fractions for you. So that will give me 3x. In this case, the 3's would cancel, so I get minus 2y. And same thing there, they're cancel and you get minus 10. So that's definitely looking like a nicer equation. A little bit nicer coefficients. But just getting used to the kind of rearranging is going to be key to this section. And then here, if I want x and y together, I'm just going to move the x over. We can kind of move things as we please. And then I'm just going to write it as negative 12x plus 5y will equal 25. I just kind of flip the sides, but as long as things are together, you're fine. So it wasn't too terrible. But now at least everything's lined up. You can decide, I'm gonna cancel the x's, because if this is, why did I do this? This should be positive, right? Sorry, if you see me do something wrong, just tell me something if I go crazy. I don't know why I put a negative there. Sorry. So if this is positive 12, I know I did something wrong. I can make that a negative 12 by multiplying it by negative 4. I'm a rewriter. I tend to, if I like start working in the same spot, I get all sorts of confused. So I like to rewrite everything. Negative 12x plus 8y is going to equal 40. In my head, I just can't remember the answer. And then the second equation is the same. So what's that give me? That cancels, which is what I wanted to eliminate. That gives me 13y. That gives me 65. Does that divide nicely? Yes, it does. It's 5. Beautiful. Oh, there was a little work getting to the setup that we needed. But we always know once we solve for one variable, you need to find the other. You can plug in wherever you please. I'm actually going to plug it into that original one with the fractions. Because I just have that y. I'm going to find the x. I know I can just throw that in my calculator. And that's just going to come out to x equals 0. So my final answer would be 0, 5. So we can see the first one compared to the second one had a little bit more work just to get it into the setup we needed. But then once we were there, it wasn't too terrible. Does anyone have a question with that second one? Okay. Talking about candy. But we still really do have 6 minutes. I know they start their little announcements, but you guys don't get it. The Smithsonian. So you've got the little packet, that's what you're working on. Here's one more kind of wrap-up question. Just be prepared. I'm just going to get into a good mental space because I'm warning you, some of those are kind of annoying. Just the answers are annoying, the actual work isn't too bad. But I know some people just don't like fractions, but just live your life. So I just wanted to point out, I don't know if there's a decimal one when you're doing this, but just like with fractions, if you don't really feel like dealing with decimals because they're going to be kind of annoying, you always have the option to kind of cancel your decimals out. What could I multiply the first equation by to get rid of the decimals? Does anyone know? 100. When you just look at your decimals, look for your longest decimal place. There's 2 decimals, and we call that the hundredths place. So if you multiply this by 100, basically it just moves your decimal 2 places. You get negative 23y equals 46x minus, just be careful that one does move 2, so that would be 460. And then I would do the same thing with the second one, 2 decimal places is 100.
Okay, at this time, seniors, you can be dismissed. Just a reminder, tomorrow's a professional day for teachers, so students just know about why.
Why do most people get so excited every day? So we have about 5 minutes left. So now that it looks a little bit nicer without the decimals, you can decide. Do you want to use substitution or elimination? I'm going to do it in a minute just so you have the answer and you can kind of follow before you leave. But just in general, if you saw that, would you be okay with rearranging? Because it's really not in any particular form right now. You can decide subs or limbs and go from there. So I'm gonna kind of start to do mine as you do yours, just so I don't run out of time. So I'm gonna use substitution. I'm gonna get this y by itself. If you use elimination, we should get the same answer. So just make sure on the end we the same. It's not a bad answer. So that one, the answer isn't too terrible if you're working towards it. So it should be nice integers there. So just kind of do a quick check as you're nearing the end that you're on the right track. If you have any questions, you let me know. Just a reminder, there is no school tomorrow, so I will not see you on Google Meet. There will be no assignments.